The Mexican Revolution started in 1910 when Francisco Madero started his campaign for president against Porfirio Diaz. In March of 1911, Emiliano Zapata started his rebellion against the government. Zapata was angry at the loss of his lands that had been taken by the lawyers and officials working for the government. He fought to get them back and to restore justice. Emiliano Zapata was born on August 8, 1879. He was known as a horse trainer and sharecropper. He spent most of his life fighting for his people to regain the land that was taken from them by the government of Mexico. When Zapata was only age 17, he became an orphan. Throughout his whole life, Zapata was a rebel and was considered revolutionary. When Zapata was drafted into the army, he was only in the army for 6 months because the landowner wanted him to train his horses. In 1909, Zapata was elected president of the board of a defense for the village he lived in. At this point, Zapata started his need for revolution, and he started his Plan of Ayala. Zapata fought for his people for many years and was considered a great leader of the peasant people in Mexico. On April 10, 1919, he was tricked into a meeting with Carranza and was killed right when he arrived to the meeting.
Zapata! We have come for you!
My land, it was taken illegally from me. The only way to get it back is to start a revolution. I believe I am a revolutionary because I do not make drastic changes, but I want things to get done.
Zapata fought for his cause from 1911 until 1919 on the day of his death. He worked together for a while with another revolutionary leader named Pancho Villa. An ex-cowboy and cattle wrestler, Villa's main goal of fighting for the revolution was that he wanted to impose the agricultural reform that he had announced was happening so that he and his men, also ex-cowboys, could get jobs. They fought long and hard against the governmental troops that opposed them. Doroteo Argano, also known as Pancho Villa, was born in the year 1878. At the age of 16, he first killed a man. During the revolution, he was both a bandit and a revolutionary. He was declared a hero amongst the poor people of Mexico because he truly wanted the best for all. He wanted the people to have jobs and land. He was like a Mexican Robin Hood because he did in fact steal from the rich and only give to the poor. On June 4, 1910, Victoriano Huerta arrested Villa and had him sentenced to death. Villa, however, managed to escape before the execution. The near-death experience didn't frighten Villa at all. For the same year, he captured Chihuahua. While Pancho Villa's death is uncertain, it is said he was captured in the night during 1923 and murdered shortly after.
Emiliano and I have a common understanding. We're both revolutionaries who hate the government and want agricultural reform. He wants his land back, and I want jobs for my men. We will both work together with Venustiano Carranza, because he is not as bad as the true villain, Huerta. We will fight till the day we die, because we will not let Huerta destroy Mexico.
Finally.
Venustiano Carranza was a political leader to the Mexican Revolution. He was born in 1859 and served as a mayor, congressman, and senator before his incorporation in the Mexican Revolution. When the revolution started, Carranza became allies with Francisco Madero, who was eventually assassinated by one of his own generals. Carranza took over from Madero and created his own army. Eventually, Carranza beat Huerta when running for president in 1917, and was assassinated in 1920 by Herrero's troops. Venustiano Carranza was different from Zapata and Villa in more than a few ways. One reason was because he was from the elite class of landowners and politicians, while they came from agricultural backgrounds. He led an easy, privileged life and was destined for greatness from the beginning. Eventually, Carranza would turn on Zapata and Villa, but at the beginning of the revolution, they worked together. The most important difference between Zapata, Villa, and Carranza was that Zapata and Villa were revolutionaries, while Carranza was a reformer. Carranza wanted to make changes within the government that he thought would benefit Mexico as a whole.
Oh hey, didn't see you there. I know I'm not the only one who thinks there's something wrong with this country. But just to let you know, when I become president, I will stabilize our country, not through drastic change, but I will make it better. I believe that bloody, unnecessary war will never help our country, and I will not engage in it. But I believe that through hard work and determination, we can beat Huerta, and we can make this country better once more. Hey kid.
Thanks, Carranza.
Anytime, kid. Stay in school, kids.
In 1914, tensions arose between Carranza, Zapata, and Villa. This was due to the radicalized social changes that Villa and Zapata were calling for. For Carranza to stay in power, he decided that he would have to have a more liberal outlook than his predecessors had had. Zapata and Villa were against the liberal views of the left and quickly started turning their opposition against Carranza and his politics.
Carranza. He doesn't want to make drastic change to Mexico when that is exactly what it needs. He thinks he knows what's best for this country, but his ideas are wrong and will only destroy Mexico.
In 1915, Villa was Carranza's strongest enemy. He tried to fight Carranza's troops in the hope of getting a quick victory, but was stopped by General Alvaro Obregón, who forced him to pull back to Chihuahua. Zapata's men tried but failed in their attempt to attack Mexico City. They also had to retreat and go to their home state of Morelos. These defeats were very bad for the revolutionaries at a key point in the Mexican Revolution.
Carranza and his reformer supporters have struck a devastating blow to our forces. We have been forced to go back to Chihuahua. The revolution cannot be left in the hands of Carranza. He will destroy Mexico, and he will not implement the drastic changes that Emiliano Zapata and I are calling for. We cannot let this happen.
In 1919, Emiliano Zapata was ambushed and killed. Carranza's men did this because Zapata and Villa still threatened Carranza in a significant way. Carranza wanted to retire and bring a man he chose to power. This man was Ignacio Bonillas. He was an unheard-of politician who had no power. Carranza was very stupid to try and bring his puppet to power because the people of Mexico had supported the policy of no re-election in 1910 and still liked the idea. This meant that they were opposed to Carranza, forcing Bonillas on them. Obregón, Carranza's best general, rose up against him and made him go on the run. It was during this time that one of Carranza's guards murdered him. Villa was kidnapped in 1923. It is still unclear what actually happened to him after this. No one knows when he was killed or how. In conclusion, it is clear from their motives and actions that Zapata and Villa were revolutionaries. Both wanted drastic change for Mexico that would ultimately benefit themselves. Zapata demanded his tribal lands back and fought for them from the beginning of the revolution in 1910 until he died in 1919. Villa and his men were out of work, so they fought to get jobs and eventually just fought to get money to survive. Carranza had a much more political outlook on the revolution because he tried to fix Mexico through discussions rather than brutal fighting. He was a reformer because he tried to work for the common good of Mexico, not his personal benefit. He also didn't believe in the drastic changes that Zapata and Villa were trying to make happen. These are the conclusions we came to about Carranza, Villa, and Zapata and their roles in the Mexican Revolution.